I'm Harry B. Joseph, also known as Revival of Wisdom, and today we're going to be discussing the symbol of Jachin and Boaz, the all-seeing eye, along with the checkerboard floor as an additional to this. We're going to discuss a little bit with the checkerboard floor, but in today's breakdown of this symbol, we're mainly going to be going into the psychological aspects of this symbol, what this means to human perception, how to see the world clearly without distortion. We're going to be going into some things upon the lines of awareness, how to gain increased awareness, how not to see through illusions, and things along these lines that will just help you see reality in a better way. And this is what these symbols unlock. They're teaching you basically psychology, advanced psychology, because pretty much that's what the occult is. When we look at the word occult comes from the Latin word oculus, and oculus means eye, and the word occult means hidden. Therefore, the word occult just simply means hidden from the eye, hidden from the visible reality, things you cannot see. No one has ever seen the mind. No one has ever seen the man behind the curtain. Who is the man behind the curtain? Well, that would be awareness. The person, the deity that is observing your mind. The person, the witness consciousness that is perceiving our thoughts, our feelings, our imaginations, the screen you call reality. It is the inner witness. That is the man behind the veil, the man behind the curtain. You'll see this in cartoons, you'll see this in movies. The man behind the curtain is the all-seeing eye, which is the awareness sitting in between the two pillars of Jachin and Boaz on this particular image. The awareness stands at the very top, the all-seeing eye at the top of the image, because it is looking down through the veils and the illusions and the thoughts of the mind. Now, the mind is dual, but the awareness is singular. Hence why the awareness, all-seeing eye, is in the middle, in between the Jachin and Boaz dual pillars. Because awareness, the person who witnesses your mind, is truly oneness. It is the mind that produces dualism and polarity. The mind thinks in dualism. And because the mind is dual, this then reflects in the material three-dimensional world, where mind manifests itself and condenses itself into a material form. The material world is dual because the material world is created by the mind, and the mind is also thinking in dualism. But in truth, everything comes from oneness, the awareness behind the mind. And that awareness is me, it is you, it's in the dog, it's in the squirrel, it's in everything. So this awareness, which stands in the middle pillar, in the middle section of Jachin and Boaz, is reminding us to see things through the awareness, witness consciousness, instead of the illusions that the mind can create. Because the mind can create illusions. When I say can, it does. The mind is the ultimate illusion creator. It is always seeking to gain recognition of something, understanding of something, based on memories, information that you have in your mind, based on traumas that you may have, based on beliefs that you may have. The mind is always seeking to understand what you're visibly seeing or going through in reality. Therefore, it can produce illusions, right? It can produce massive, massive illusions. So the mind, as described by the ancients, especially in Buddhism, they recognize it as a veil because it filters reality through memory, conditioning, fear, and desire. The mind does not show reality as it is. It shows reality as it has been learned. This is how illusion is formed. Thoughts create stories. Stories become beliefs. Beliefs shape our perception of the world. When perception is shaped by belief, one no longer sees truth, only interpretation. So the only way we can truly actually see truth is through the witness, with the man behind the curtain. The true self, the true sense of I, which is the witness. This is why I and I are the same. So it's this image right here is teaching us to See things as not dual, as oneness. See your fellow brothers and sisters and your friends and family as one, because all is self. The universe is one soul or intelligence, a conscious living intelligence that is investing its own consciousness to seek to understand itself. And when we go within ourselves and we seek to understand ourselves, we are taking part in what the Masons call the great work, or occultists call the great work, because occultists understand that even God is still trying to figure himself out. He's searching for meaning. He divided and multiplied himself, or itself, awareness, divided and multiplied itself into many different forms to understand itself and to find meaning. So when we look within ourselves, we are looking at, we're participating in the great work of self-discovery. And this ties in with the present moment. You know, the universe was not created thousands of years ago. It's creating now in the present moment, and it's unfolding creation in the now. So creation isn't something that's fixed. We're part of something great. We're part of something that's unfolding on a universal level. God is always seeking to unfold himself and unravel deeper understanding through more and more and more gnosis and experience. So going back to my original point, I kind of went off there. The all-seeing eye standing in between the polar pillars is teaching us to see things as truth, as neutral, not positive or negative, symbolized by the sun and the moon and the left and right pillar. We're meant to see things as neutral, because if we see things as either left or right or positive or negative, this can infect our decision making. We can make bad decisions. We can not think properly and navigate life properly, so on and so on. But if we see things through the witness and without the illusions of the mind, see things as neutral. For example, something bad happens in your reality, you know, it seems bad. When I say bad, I mean it's something that you didn't really want to happen, but it happened. And, you know, it's affected your life, maybe not in the best possible way. It's not a good idea to see that as negative. It's a good idea to see that as neutral, because when you then see that as neutral without the distortions or labels of the mind, you see it through the witness, you then can assess the situation properly and take the necessary actions to transform that so-called negative experience that's going on in your life into something great. We can learn from the wisdom of light and darkness. This is why there's a checkerboard floor at the very bottom, symbolizing life. Life, you know, we're molded by light and darkness, the good and bad, and the good and bad things that happen to us in life. And we're meant to take wisdom from both. You know, light and darkness is here for a reason, because it refines us, it builds us. That's why the word Mason means builder, because we're all building something within ourselves. We're all contributing towards building our evolution, building our self, building our mind. We're building a reality. We're unfolding creation. And to navigate life, we have to make sure that we're not seeing things through illusions. Okay? So that's very important. So to walk in between the pillars of Jachin and Boaz is to pass beyond identification with either pole of the mind. It is not the rejection of thought, but mastery over it. Awareness does not destroy the mind, but it orders it. When awareness governs, the subconscious becomes aligned, and the conscious becomes clear, and perception becomes truthful. Awareness grows in stillness. This is how we actively connect more with our witness consciousness and actually start to gain a reconnection with our witness, with our true self. Awareness, the awareness or witness aspect of ourselves, or the man behind the curtain, whatever you want to call it, only grows through stillness, observation, and restraint. Every time no one notices a thought. Sorry. Every time one notices a thought without reacting, the veil thins. Every time one question an emotional reaction, illusions weaken. The all-seeing eye is not something to believe in. It is something it is something to become conscious of. When awareness is present, truth reveals itself without effort. So we connect with our witness through practices like meditation. The whole point of meditation, in my personal, breakdown and interpretation of it, is to not remove the mind, but to understand the mind and to gain mastery over the mind. You will never remove the mind. It will always seek to control everything because that's just the nature of the human mind. It will always seek to create illusions, to create stories, to create perceptions. It will always produce thought. It will always receive thought. However, we have to learn inside meditation to rise above these impulses and learn not to react to the illusions, the suggestions, the stories of the mind. Because as soon as we, when I say we or me, the self, the true self, reacts to the mind, that is then me not controlling my mind. I am being a servant to the mind. And we don't want the mind to be a servant. Sorry, we don't want ourselves to be a servant to the mind. We want our mind to be our servant. I know this is quite difficult to get your head around, especially if this is, your beginning of your journey. This is quite deep stuff, but come back to this maybe. But we want our minds to serve us, not us serving our mind. Because if we serve our mind, we become a slave to its illusions that it can create, its distortions, its veils. So we have to make sure that we connect with the awareness through meditation and gain that ability and willpower to become an observant of our mind instead of its server. And when we become a conscious observer of the mind, we can see through its processes that it's always trying to create, these illusions. We all know, in life, we've all had moments in our life where our mind creates illusions. For example, you jump to conclusions about some friend snaking you or whatever it is, and your mind just plays a whole story. Then you find out that that person didn't even do anything. It was just your mind playing illusions because it thought it saw a piece of evidence of that. And the thoughts, you spent time thinking about it and just created more and more and more illusions that you reacted to. And that created chaos. That's what happens when you become a servant of the mind. So meditation is not about removing the mind. It is about sitting above the mind, which is why the all-seeing eye is above these two pillars. It is about becoming an observer of it and gaining control over it and sitting above it. And learning to use and direct the mind consciously instead of the mind directing us. We have to be in full control over the light and the dark, the sun and the moon, which is symbolic of the conscious and the subconscious mind. Becoming conscious of the subconscious mind is very important. Also, this is what in occult traditions is called the sacred marriage. The sacred marriage is a metaphor for merging our conscious mind with the subconscious mind. It's basically going deep within ourselves and figuring out where our conscious mind is taking orders from, because our conscious mind is always taking orders from the subconscious. The thoughts that we receive in our conscious mind is coming from subconscious programs, beliefs, fears, traumas, memories. So when we merge our conscious with the subconscious, it's about becoming conscious of the unconscious patterns that are seeking to control our life and our actions. Because 90% of our actions are coming through programs that are cyclical in nature. The mind is a cycle. just like how everything in the world is a cycle. Day and night, summer, winter, the universe works in cycles. The heavens above you, the heavens is a cycle. Everything is a cycle. And so is the subconscious mind producing this cycle. And this cycle is controlling your conscious mind, and your conscious mind is controlling your actions in your life. So the sacred marriage is about going deep within ourselves. And there are certain questions you can ask yourself to go deep within yourself and truly figure out what is, seeking to control you, programs, beliefs, thought patterns, thought cycles in our subconscious that are controlling us. And the subconscious knows everything about you. It knows everything. It is the intelligence telling your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe, the scab to heal. It knows everything about your body. It's communicating with every cell right now. It knows everything wrong with your body, everything right with your body. So it is. It's an order. It's like a quantum computer. It's amazing when you really identify what the subconscious is doing. It's so powerful. It's giving so many orders to your body right now that our conscious mind is so hard to even comprehend the level of work that the subconscious mind is doing right now. It's healing every wound on your body. It's telling your eyes to blink, your heart to beat, your lungs to breathe. It's fighting cancer cells in your body. It's doing everything. So it's powerful. It really is powerful. So merging the conscious mind with the subconscious is the sacred marriage, which is we should seek to do. And this is why we have the all-seeing eye again in the middle, merging the middle pillar. The path to enlightenment, the middle pillar. So these Jachin and Boaz pillars is symbolic of conscious mind and the subconscious mind, what we are aware of, what we're not aware of, and we have space in the middle. And this open space in the middle is symbolic of the awareness, which is in the middle of our mind or observing our mind, the duality of our mind. So this is deep stuff, very, very deep stuff, and it's very important to understand. And it's important to understand that the mind is constantly seeking to control over reality. It does this by labeling, judging, comparing, and predicting. Control gives the mind a sense of safety. And this also plays a role in our nervous system, and our nervous system is always trying to seek safety. By assigning meaning to every experience, the mind believes it can manage life. Yet this need for control is also a source of illusion. When the mind labels something as good or evil, positive or negative, it narrows reality into a fixed interpretation. Reality itself does not change, only perception does. And that's where awareness comes in. This is where awareness is essential. The awareness does not seek to control. It seeks clarity. Awareness observes the mind without obeying it. When one shifts from thought into awareness, reality is no longer filtered through fear, desire, or expectation. It is seen as it is. This is the symbolic position of the all-seeing eye. The all-seeing eye stands in the center, not on either side. It does not choose light over dark or dark over light. It sees both simultaneously, both illusions of the mind. From the perspective of awareness, everything is neutral. Events are not inherently good or bad. They are simply are. It is the mind that assigns value based on memory and conditioning. Two people can experience the same event and interpret it completely different. This reveals a deeper truth. Okay, this reveals a way deeper truth. The event itself is neutral. Meaning is projected into it by the mind. Awareness dissolves this projection and reveals reality without distortion. The checkered board floor symbolizes this principle. The black and white squares represent the light and dark aspects of existence, not as opposites in conflict, but as complementary forces. Every individual carries both within themselves. Strength and weakness, wisdom and ignorance, fear, courage, all coexist within the self. Growth does not occur by rejecting one side in favor of the other. Growth occurs by allowing both to shape us consciously. The dark squares represent the challenge, the loss, the uncertainty. The light squares represent clarity, insight, and harmony. Together they form a path we walk in between the pillars. Without darkness, there is no contrast. Without struggle, there is no transformation. If you're going through a bad period in your life or a bad, you know, what your mind labels as bad, you are in one of the most essential positions in your life. I can't tell you that when I look back in my life, and I'm sure you all have this yourself, this is just my personal life. It is the negative moments, the moments where I've been at my lowest. I don't know, the person you love left you, or you know, my brother passed away recently. Like anything where you're at your lowest, that is such a powerful moment. And at the moment, when you're in that moment, it's so bad. There's nothing worse that could happen. But that energy you have, that high emotional state, that lowest you are at, is the best power you could have, because that is when your life completely changes. And when I look back, I then realize I'm so glad in some way those things happened, because massive growth comes from massive setbacks. The growth when everything's going okay and everything's fine is okay if you're on top and you're consistent. But it can compare that to when you're down in your darkest moments in life. That growth you learn then, that strength, that mental strength you gain after you get over that, is unbreakable, and it changes your character, it changes yourself. So never let these dark times get to you, because dark times in a year's time, you'll look back at them and think, that was so needed for me to go through that, because it made me stronger. It made me push on, it made me more successful, or whatever it is in life. Or it made me figure something out, or it gave me a warning. For example, if something bad happened to you, if that didn't happen to you, you now wouldn't be conscious or see signs of that happening again. And maybe something even worse would happen. Maybe being in a car crash has given you more awareness. So darkness is necessary for us to grow, and the dark aspects of ourselves are not to be ignored, but to become conscious of and turned into light and to grow from them. So by standing in the awareness consciousness, one no longer resists life. The good or bad, the good and bad are no longer enemies, they become teachers. Awareness integrates both and extracts wisdom from each. This is the true work of transformation, to remain centered while walking across the checkered board of existence, seeing clearly without illusion, guided by the all-seeing eye within yourself. And this is just when you truly gain that witness consciousness, that a deep, deep understanding of this, you know, not just believing it in your mind, but when this is matured in you, this awareness, consciousness, and what I've said today, your life will dramatically change. Nothing can, you become so mentally strong, nothing can literally hurt you. So everything discussed today points to a single truth. Awareness is not passive. Once awakened, it seeks order. Most people encounter insights like these and feel a moment of clarity. Then life resumes back to normal, back to their old ways, like this lecture never happened. The mind reserts control. Remember, your mind is always seeking to control you. The old patterns may return, not because the truth was false, but because awareness was not given structure. Insight without discipline fades. Wisdom without practice dissolves. The mind is excellent at creating meaning, but without guidance, it is also recreating illusion. This is why throughout history, those who understood awareness did not gather casually. They formed schools, they formed temples, universities, not to convince people, but to organize it, not to impress, but to train people. That's why I created Ethereal University, for this exact reason. And there are many spiritual schools out there. But the good thing with the Ethereal University, everything's in one place. You have meditations, you have binaural beats, you have lectures, absolutely anything you can imagine. You can learn symbolism, master yourself. This path is not for everyone. The university isn't for everyone, I'll be honest. It's for serious minds only. And I'm looking for the serious people because they're the people I want to connect with. You can join if you're just beginning your journey. Does not matter where you're at. you will find value, great value, and become a great mind in this world by understanding the teachings inside. Over 300 hours of information, live Q&As every week. So, it's not urgent. It is alignment. If you want to become aligned, if you feel called to deepen what was opened in this lecture, Ethereum University is available. I'm ready whenever, and I will see you there. When awareness is ready for structure, it naturally finds it. You now know where to go if you wish, and I hope to see you inside. What an amazing lecture today, truly deep, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.